All right, guys, welcome back. We have lots to go over today. The Xbox app is expanding out to more TVs. We have more info on which TVs now you'll be able to access the Xbox ecosystem on. Game Pass continuously is getting better, of course, with the Oblivion remastered Shadow dropped. And then we are getting potentially the game of the year, or at least one of the game of the years today. The reviews are out for it, and it looks incredible. It's a great time for gaming, great time for RPGs, for Game Pass, and just lots of stuff to play. We have sales numbers for hardware. Which Xbox is selling the most? It's not surprising, but it is definitely showing the industry is moving away from anything physical. Some unannounced games that we will talk about that have now been out there for the public to know about. Division 2 gets DLC. Ghost of Yotei gets an official release date, which brings up a lot of interesting questions. So we will talk about all this plus more. But if you do enjoy daily gaming content, discussions, news every morning, 8 a.m. Make sure to hit the subscribe. As I see many of you watch on a daily basis but are not subscribed, so I would appreciate that. But for now, let's jump into it. So as we know, Xbox has been expanding out where you can access Xbox. And one of the things that they initially launched on were Samsung TVs, the Xbox app where you can do cloud gaming. The question was, were they going to continue to launch Xbox app on other TV brands out there? And the answer is yes. They have announced that LG is getting the Xbox app. We didn't know which LGs were going to be getting it because they didn't specify the specific models and years and everything. But now we do have that answer, as Xbox has put out this announcement here specifying which TVs, if you have an LG TV, you will be able to now access the Xbox app for cloud gaming, for Game Pass, for games that you own, all of the stuff that is included in there. They say starting today, the Xbox app is available on select LG Smart TV models to make it easier to access Xbox Game Pass Ultimate for over 25 countries here who will be able to play the games directly. The rollout includes, so it's a good range of OLEDs from LG, the 2022 OLED TVs, select 2023 LG Smart TVs, and newer models. And they say, along with smart monitors running Web OS 24 or later versions, it will soon expand to stand by me screens. So if you have any of these LGs and any of them going forward, you are now going to be able to download the Game Pass app and play all of the games on there that come with it. It's a very smart time to be releasing Xbox everywhere and do more of this as an Xbox campaign, especially after we just got Oblivion remastered. Clair Obscur Expedition is out today. You have Doom the Dark Ages coming in May. The amount of games dropping into Game Pass day one, big games, big popular AAA hitters that go to the mainstream. It's not just niche games that you'll have a lot of people enjoying, but mainstream stuff like Doom. It's insane. I mean, it's a great time here for Game Pass to go out there, market, and expand as much as they can, because now is when people are going to start thinking more about Xbox and thinking about signing up to the Game Pass service. And one of those games, again, Clair Obscur Expedition 33 out today. I can't wait to play this one. The only issue is, what do I play? When do I play it? Because there's just so much to jump into. But Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is one of those that looks like it could be a game of the year. The reviews are in on this, and it is sitting right now at a 92 on Metacritic and a 92 on OpenCritic, getting multiple perfect scores, 10 out of 10, multiple 9s and 9.5s and everything. So this looks like it is as good as it had looked leading up to the launch of it. Sometimes you get games and they look really good in the gameplay trailers, and a lot of the previews sound promising, and then they come out and they're good, but not as good as a lot of people would have expected. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 from a small team, an indie dev coming out of nowhere, has probably released a game of the year candidate and a new twist and take on turn-based RPGs, which is exciting because we get lots of turn-based RPGs. There are a lot of great ones out there. This one is built in modern graphics, in modern game design, and they've added a bunch of cool things here in terms of the gameplay that I think is going to make this a must-play RPG. I can't wait to play it. I'm right now playing Oblivion Remastered. I'm still playing Assassin's Creed. I'm still playing Monster Hunter. So many huge games on the go. I have to find time for this one. This one will probably bump out a lot of them right now, as I do absolutely want to jump into it. All right, we have numbers here, sales numbers, hardware sales numbers, and the top selling games and the Xbox sales. Which Xbox is selling the most? You would think people still want to get the one with the disk drive, the Series X and everything, and that does not seem to be the case whatsoever. But right now, in overall hardware sales are falling, and they're continuously falling. I think the Nintendo Switch 2, which pre-orders are going up today, already have happened at midnight for some stores. That's going to boost hardware sales for the rest of this year and going into next year. But of the current consoles out there, hardware sales continue to fall. And in March, hardware sales fell 25%. This is coming from the data from Matt Piscatella and Circana. And they say here that per the data, the video game hardware sales fell 382 million to 286 million year over year. And the drop off was the lowest March hardware spending total in the country since 2019, which had just 279 million spent. And this also brings the 2025 year-to-date spending down 7% year over year. Specifically, PlayStation 5 fell 26% in March in terms of dollar sales against the year average. And then Xbox came in second in both categories, but still fell 9% year over year. Lastly, Nintendo Switch dropped 37% year over year. The least surprising of them all, this console has been out since 2017. The Nintendo Switch 2 has been announced and coming out, so you're going to continue to see that to drop. And they say, as far as the types of consoles being sold, digital only consoles have made up 75% of the Xbox Series systems and 50% of PlayStation 5 consoles. So console sales are falling. They're continuously falling. We are going to get a new generation soon in the next year or so. And obviously that's going to increase console sales once again, whether we're getting it in 2026 with like a handheld to kick things off or an at-home console at the same time, or if it's going to be pushed all the way to 2027. We do not know yet, but the Switch 2 is coming out this year, which is kind of that unofficial kickoff of next gen. Even though when you look at the hardware inside the Switch 2, it's kind of last gen, but that's a topic for a different video. So there's lots to look at here. The digital side of things, digital consoles, 75% of the Xbox are that white digital Xbox Series X. And then obviously the Series S is what I guess would be included in there as well. And then the PlayStation 5 digital is 50% of those console sales. So the era of physical gaming is gone. Basically, it's being held up here by the Nintendo Switch and the Nintendo Switch 2, which I think will continue to hold it up for a while, because Nintendo has confirmed, or some of the publishers for games on the Switch 2 have confirmed, that the entire games are on the cartridge. It's obviously going to depend on which game it is. Some will require downloads, but physical games are going away. And you have to ask the question, next generation hardware, at-home consoles, will they have disk drives at all? Will they even create an external disk drive? Maybe just for backwards compatibility would be the only thing I can see them doing it for. They probably look at the next gen of consoles and new games coming out for it. Making a physical disk drive for those is a waste of time and a waste of money, as most people on Xbox and on PlayStation are just not interested in picking up physical games. They're all going fully digital. So we will see. I do think they will still have to somewhat support it because of the backwards compatibility thing, especially on the Xbox side of things, where they've been very generous and very good with backwards compatibility, spanning all generations. And they're going to continue to do that, as play your Xbox anywhere includes playing your Xbox on older gen of consoles, whether that's through the cloud or that is natively with the cross-generational games. So we'll see what happens here. But it is not looking good for those physical gaming fans, which I like my physical games. I have a ton of digital, I have a ton of physical, but I don't want to see physical fully go away on Xbox and on PlayStation. Now, when it comes to top selling games, one of the games that was surrounded in controversy leading up to its release was Assassin's Creed Shadows. You had a certain part of the internet hoping and praying that this game would fail, it wouldn't sell well. And even when they started posting numbers showing that there were a lot of people jumping in and a lot of people playing, they are very skeptical as to how well this game was selling well. It looks like, as we had thought, as I had thought, Assassin's Creed Shadows has done very, very well. It is a top selling game, and it's not a surprise. Assassin's Creed is a very strong IP. The game itself is awesome, so it deserves the sales that it is getting. And we have more information here on March and where did Assassin's Creed Shadows launch. It is 2025's best selling game in the US for March. So it has been doing very well. Sales are good on this game. They are high. It's one of the best selling Assassin's Creed games, and more information comes out and this gets proven more and more. It says here, in the latest sales data from Circana, 4 of the top 5 games in March were brand new releases. Following Assassin's Creed Shadows, which was the top selling game, in second was MLB The Show 25, while the other new games in the top 5 were WWE 2K25 and Split Fiction in 4th and 5th, respectively. The only non-new game to find itself in the top 5 for the month was Monster Hunter Wilds at 3rd, and of course that game always just sells crazy. So Assassin's Creed Shadows, the top selling game in March, and this game came out March 20th, came out near the end of the month, and it still reached the top ranks. So good news for Assassin's Creed fans, good news for Assassin's Creed Shadows, as the campaigns to destroy this game did not work. And if you look at the top selling game of 2025, Monster Hunter Wilds is still on top of that. They say here that Capcom comes in just ahead of Assassin's Creed Shadows. So as of right now, Assassin's Creed Shadows is the second best selling game of the year. However, it did release after Monster Hunter Wilds, which again are released on March 20th. Monster Hunter Wilds released in February. I don't know why I was about to say September, but February. So we'll see. I don't know if it'll catch Monster Hunter because Monster Hunter is a massive franchise, and it's selling, being a top selling game in 2025 would not be a surprise if that lasts throughout the entire year. But either way, both those games are doing phenomenally well commercially, and they did well critically too. So lots of news there in terms of sales, hardware, and in gaming. Okay, so let's move over here to Blade Runner, a game that was unannounced. We were going to get a Blade Runner game, which I thought would be pretty cool. Looks like this game has now been canceled. There's an exclusive report here from Insider Gaming saying that unannounced Blade Runner game canceled at Supermassive Games. They've learned here that Blade Runner Time to Live was a character-focused cinematic action adventure game where you are the only Blade Runner in 2065, and the game would feature a 10 to 12-hour single-player story that, per document sent to Insider Gaming, under the condition they not be made public, involved a compelling story blending the philosophical themes of Blade Runner with kinetic action adventure gameplay. The game had begun pre-production in September of 2024, and now with pre-production scheduling to end in March 2025, and then the end of prototyping ending by September 2025, the game has been canceled. It was planned to release in 2027 for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series XS, PC, and the interesting thing here, which shows these consoles, these next-gen consoles will be out in next year. So the Gen 10 Xbox and PlayStation systems. So they're preparing for those already with games that are in development. Do they have information on exactly what those consoles are, what the power of them will be? So when they're doing their development, they can kind of prepare for that. Not too sure, but these developers are preparing for the next generation of consoles. And unfortunately, if you're a Blade Runner fan, it's canceled. I mean, Supermassive Games, a 10 to 12 hour game would have been nice, a smaller game thrown into the world of massive games that we do have in terms of length and worlds and everything. So it's unfortunate because Blade Runner is a cool universe, and I could see some awesome stuff coming out of it for the video game format. The Division 2, we have finally got the official announcement and the launch date here for the next DLC, which is the Battle for Brooklyn DLC. This one is coming in May. I'm a big fan of the Division 2, so I'm definitely going to be jumping into this. This coming in May 27th for Xbox, PlayStation, and PC, and it came as part of the Year 7 showcase for the Division 2. It is going to retailer for $15, and they say here that players will get access to the level 40 boost, allowing them to get right into the action right away if you want to pick up the gold or ultimate editions of the Division 2. New players are going to get access to the DLC right away. Now for $15, you're getting 10 to 12 hours of campaign content. I saw people kind of complaining $15 is too expensive for a small DLC, but I think $15 for 10 to 12 hours is actually quite reasonable. I don't think that is an overpriced thing whatsoever. So if you like the Division 2 for $15, you're going to get more content, obviously a new story and everything. Battle for Brooklyn coming in May. I will be checking this out. I will eventually end up playing this DLC. Another game that got a release date announcement, which is funny, the day after all of the hype and the release of Oblivion Remastered, and then Clair Obscur coming tomorrow into Xbox and Xbox Game Pass. PlayStation had to jump in here with some news to get people excited, to probably get some more eyes on PlayStation, because they've been pretty silent in 2025. There just hasn't been that much here in regards to PlayStation to talk about. But there is going to be something huge to talk about in PlayStation once October does hit, as Ghost of Yotei got its release date here for October 2025. And the editions of the game are also shown off. So there is a big collector's edition and everything. It will be releasing on October 2nd, 2025. And the price for the standard edition will be $70. Then there is the digital deluxe edition, which will be $80. And then if you really want to go all out, you can get this collector's edition here, which as of right now, I don't believe they have a price on it. I'm sure this is going to cost a couple of hundred, maybe $200-$300. But what you get in this collector's edition is everything shown off in the picture here. You get a sash, a Suba, art cards, a ghost mask kind of statue thing, a Zeni Haiki coin game and pouch, a papercraft ginkgo tree, and you get all of the digital deluxe content, which comes with some DLC, some skins and everything. And then, of course, the full game. But October 2nd, 2025 is when the sequel to Ghost of Tsushima is going to be coming out. And the release date is very, very interesting, because this is one I think of the first big releases in 2025 that are putting their feet down and taking a date here for the fall of this year, which we all know what's around the corner if it does get released this year, as it does sound like it is, Grand Theft Auto 6. So do they know something about the release date of Grand Theft Auto 6, which is why they were confident enough to come out here and put a release date on Ghost of Yotei for October 2nd? I would bet you can expect Grand Theft Auto 6 to be not very close at all to the release date of this game, which then asks the question, does that mean it's later than that? And potentially, if you start seeing more games come out with their release dates for the fall of 2025, does that mean that Grand Theft Auto 6 is leaning towards being delayed and pushed into the first half of 2026? I just don't expect too many big games and publishers to lock down a release date in fall until we know the official release date of Grand Theft Auto 6, because nobody wants to be around that. It will just get sunk under everything GTA 6 if you release the game around the release of that. Just, it's impossible, I think, to compete with that one. So we will see what happens here. It's interesting that they were the first, I think, big one. There may be others, but this is the first one here that is a relatively massive, big AAA first party game that's just locking down October 2nd for their release date. Because imagine GTA 6 comes out tomorrow and says they're releasing it within a week of this. It's going to overshadow it, and that's going to be hard to bounce back from. And finally, we have some more info here. It's not official from Nintendo. I mean, pre-orders are live today, so I don't think this really matters at all for the Nintendo Switch 2 and people picking it up. Most people don't really care too much about the internal hardware and everything. They just want to see what this thing can do, and they can play the games that they do want. But we don't really have any information as to what is inside of the Nintendo Switch 2, other than it is an NVIDIA chip and it is DLSS. It can support DLSS for a lot of its games. Well, we have some more info here, and it looks like NVIDIA's Tegra 239 chip does power up the Nintendo Switch 2 and features an ARM-based architecture with a decent performance. So they say here, with the release of the Nintendo Switch 2, we learned about the device's capabilities, such as 4K 60 FPS output with the docking station, but we don't have very much information on what chip powers the device. And we do know that Nintendo is in agreement with NVIDIA to utilize a custom-made Tegra SoC. And now we have this tweet here from Kernassalts sharing a chip shot, which appears to be NVIDIA Tegra 239 chipped, as you can see here, the label T239. So if you're wondering exactly what that means, that is the chip that is inside of the Nintendo Switch 2. They also say here that there's no more other information on that, but from what we know, the chip could feature an ARM Cortex A78C cores, hybrid GPU featuring Ada Lovelace and Ampere elements, and 1536 CUDA cores. So CPU speed is estimated to be 1.1 gigahertz to 1.5 gigahertz, and looking at 128-bit memory interface featuring LPDDR5 technology. Again, right now it's all speculation. Nintendo doesn't generally give us the nitty gritty as to exactly what is on their console, what is underneath the hood, but we won't have to wait too long. June 5th, somebody will figure this out. Somebody will tear this thing down, and we will have a lot more information as to what is inside the Nintendo Switch 2. But I'm going to end the video there. If you did enjoy this video, hit that thumbs up. If you are new here, hit that subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye.